how's the tournament been going? I know how it's been going, but I want to hear it from you guys. Hello? Anyone?
Anyway, yeah.
I think it's been going fine.
Zoom call Andy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, unmute now, all of you. Put your videos on, everyone. Otherwise, you're all banned. Yeah, and how has it actually been going? Like, yeah. What would you say, Cheesy? Okay, so Aston, how's it been going? Why don't I hear it from you first, and then we'll do something after
Okay.
this.
All right. Yeah. In my opinion, it's been going pretty well. The last match was a bit up and down, but that was just because of the circumstances on the day. But
Yeah.
you know, they brought the game back 3-2 and 1. Target calling, planning still a bit. Well, target calling and plans have been okay. But yeah, it's been a lot better. But we still got ways to go yet. So.
Okay. Right. Now I'm gonna go through just each of you, right? And I want you to tell me one thing the team's been doing well in the tournament, and one thing the team's been doing bad. So starting with Chemist, because you're at the top. Sorry, mate. Hello.
Ewan. Oh, okay.
Chemist.
Chemist gone.
That's fine. We'll do Chemist last then. SHG, have you been in the tournament?
No, I haven't played.
Okay. Who's the flex CPS playing? Like, who is the flex CPS?
No, he's not here.
Yeah, that's
He's
the
not
one.
Okay, fine.
It is going
Okay.
great. I love it.
All right. Even. We'll start with you then.
Okay. One thing we have been doing good, I think, was sometimes target calling, but it's also the same thing that we haven't been doing good. It's like when we do it, it was great, but when we didn't do it, it
Right,
was
so
not
is that something like staying focused? Would you say? Like, is the negative?
It was inconsistent. The target calling when it was there was like awesome, and we all focused on the target and was doing really great. But it was lacking at points, which was also due to my faults at sometimes, but it all over.
Okay, so it's good but inconsistent. Now,
Yes.
would you give any reason why it was inconsistent? Like, do you think it's because people were thing, or it's hard to have like always the energy, or it's hard to remember, or you were like tunnel visioning, or?
I can only say it for me. For me, it was sometimes there was so much happening. My brain just farted out and was like, I cannot target call. I need to shoot. I need to focus on what I'm playing now. I can't speak. No speak
Yeah.
available right now. Brain capacity is taken.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that. Anything else you think that was good so far in the tournament that's been going well?
Let me think.
If not, that's fine, because we'll go on to the next
It
person.
has been 2 days. I have to remember the tournament again.
Yeah. Well, we'll do one thing for each person. So, Ed, what about you?
I was also about to say like the target calling has been better.
Good.
And-
Like, can you think of something different? Or if not, it's all right.
I only focused on target calling.
Sorry?
I only like focusing on on the target calling.
I mean, you can say like you've been playing well as well. Like you can say that like do you think you've been playing well, or do you think you've been playing okay?
I think I've been playing all right at least. Because I come up with some plans that I guess have been like team fighting.
Yeah, we'll say that as positive. What about a negative? Something that's like negatives are more important.
I had something about it. I still will lacking like planning. Planning fights, stuff like that.
Okay, so fight planning you think is a bit. Is it inconsistent?
I think more like it. We just like don't do it as much as we maybe should.
Oh, so you don't follow the fight plans?
We don't. Sometimes we don't come up with a fight, but we just go in like, we just speed boost into them. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so again, it's consistency with actually doing jobs, basically. Yeah. All right, Cake. Positive.
Positive. I would probably just go with what I've noticed is I feel like I've been improving as a player. I do dumb shit every now and then. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. But I think I've been playing fairly well and improving. Negative.
You can say the same negative, or if it's a new one that no one's mentioned and you really want it to be like actually fixed. Bear in mind, there's always going to be negatives. There's always like a lot of things that will be going wrong. Even if like a tournament goes well, there'll still be a lot of things that can be improved even more, so you can do even better.
I'm just trying to think of something different, but yeah, I do agree with Ed and Even. but I'm just trying to think of if there's anything else that kind of sticks out.
Okay.
But nothing's coming to mind.
You keep on thinking of that, and I'll ask you again after. But that's fine if you can't think of one. But think of it right now. Like think of it while I go to next. So Cheesy.
Yes, sir. One thing that I really have enjoyed seeing is like most people have said, the target calling has gotten a lot better. The focusing is good, and also
By the
players'
way,
mental.
hold on. When you guys say like the target calling is good, do you mean the target calling by chemist?
Yeah.
Or by everyone? Or is it one person? Is it like, everyone's doing their own bits, or is it mainly chemist because he's the target caller?
A little bit of like mainly chemist, but also like when chemist dies and people pitch in, sometimes it works, but sometimes when chemist dies, people don't pitch in, and then it's like bad, so it's a little bit on the negative side as well.
Yes, yeah. So what were you gonna say before that though?
Yeah, the other positive thing I found was like the player's mental was really good on like last map. It was like, well, not map, but like match. Because like they were down like a lot, but the mental never broke, and they brought it back with a reverse sweep. So yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, that's really important. That's really, really important. Yep, that's good. Next, chemist.
You want a positive and negative about how the team's been
of
doing?
the tournament so far, like performances, or you've been playing well, or whatever.
As a positive, we seem like a completely different team, like com-wise, compared to how we are in scrims. Because in scrims, it can get really quiet, like really easily, and we don't really follow through on plans that are made or targets that are called. But
so this is
in the tournament, we've been much better with it.
Yeah, so basically the reason for this is because when it's a tournament, people actually are motivated to like try hard. So it's like proper like trying to like really win, if that kind of makes sense. You should technically everyone should do this all the time anyway, because it's the best way to kind of like improve and see like good performance in general. But yeah, obviously it takes a lot of energy, and some people don't keep it like that. But if you can, it's great. Like that's one thing you need to always like show up with. So maybe don't play like ranked just before your scrims, because you're just going to be in a shit mood, if that makes sense. Like have a quick energy drink before scrims or anything like that. It puts you like in an energetic mood for scrims. That makes sense. But yeah. And what about negative?
A negative. Can it be personal as well?
Yep.
Sometimes I get a little bit lost with what I'm meant to be doing, and I get a bit absent-minded.
Fair.
Wait, I have another positive.
Yeah.
So I really also like the fact that like the match before yesterday, I mean Sunday's match, the team figured out that they should just like play a lot of brawl because it's what they're comfortable with, and the enemy team wasn't really countering it. But then it was a very, very different like playing field on the Sunday match where they had almost a better brawl, but they were like utilizing the Mei a lot better. So like the team figured out to use like more Pharah comps and like that kind of not sticking to the one thing or like actually experimenting with other stuff.
Yeah, so switching is being good.
Yeah.
Switching. Okay, so switching heroes mid matches to adapt, basically. Okay, that's great. That's great. So did you think of one cake in the end, or is it just the same as before?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit like before, kind of like with the lack of plans, and I would say that because of the inconsistencies in plans, I would almost say that either we kind of like just like if sometimes a plan does come out, we either just it like goes from one ear out the other, and we just don't really register it because it's like
Now has everyone else
2-3 fights, or even just like
have other people noticed that? Like sometimes someone like chemist might say a plan, but you're not in the like zone, or you like it just completely goes in one ear and out the other. Does anyone else notice that? And I'm not saying this is because it's your team. I'm saying this is actually very common in like every team, right? But has anyone noticed it?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Now, can you guys guess why that is? Anyone guess? Let's say I don't know.
You might be focusing on other things.
So you're focusing on the game, but what if it's like it's before a fight's even started, right? And you say something, chemist, and then the person is like trying to focus on the game, or like their mind's just not there, right? Can anyone guess why, or like why that happens? Literally use any outside knowledge you have. Like, why might that happen? Anyone know?
Pressure?
Tilt pressure, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, there you go. So basically, you can't say it's for sure one thing or another, right? Because it's more like psychological, okay? But, well, if it is psychological, in my opinion, as you said, it is like pressure. And basically, it's almost on a mini level of, you know, when you're like, you've got so much pressure. If you've got loads of pressure over something, you kind of just like phase out, right? You kind of zone out, or your mind goes like blank, or you just kind of zone out basically when it's like loads of pressure. That can be why, but that might not be the main reason. It might be a combination of that and also the fact that like because the game's like happening right now, it's panic as well. So people are panic and they're trying to actually focus on playing well themselves. So they're just not. They're almost like zoned in, focusing like tunnel visioning on their own gameplay, if that kind of makes sense. And the problem is, right, this, as I said, this happens to everyone, but why do you think that's a problem? And why do you think that shouldn't happen? Anyone? Chemist?
Wait, it just happened. I was completely zoned out. What? Sorry. My apologies.
No. So zoning out in the middle of a game, right, and not listening to like comms, why do you think that happens to you, for example? Let's just say you. I don't know if it happens to you, but
I might be trying to set up somewhere, or I might be trying to figure out a plan to begin with.
yeah.
Like what
So
we want to do.
you're like your brain's working like overtime, basically. Now, why is that a bad thing?
Because plans that are made I won't hear, or calls that are made, like positioning calls, I won't hear, or calls to switch, etc.
So basically, the one thing that teams do that kind of to get over this is obviously practice a lot, right? Basically, your brain gets overloaded in new situations, right? That's one thing. If it's a new situation, your brain's trying to like process it, but you're also getting outside information from your teammates, and it's like overload, right? And that's kind of what you said, even, right, as well. So that's one reason. Another thing as well is stress and panic from like a tournament, from it's an actual thing, right? You kind of zone out. Try not to do that and just calm, breathe in, out, reset your brain. Guys, listen, everyone do this. If you're ever feeling as if you're not concentrating, like right now, anyone right now, I don't know, right? If anyone's not concentrating on what I'm saying right now, like, if you're in a tournament and you ever zone out or you're not listening, I want you to just stop and take a deep breath and just refocus, okay? That's it. You can literally stand still in the game as long as you're not in the middle of the fight, right? Just stand still, stop, refocus, reset your brain. Trust me, that will help. And you will actually, and then what do you do? If you've missed a plan, what should you do, Ed?
Ask for it like, sorry, I missed the plan. Can you repeat the plan? Or just
Exactly.
follow your team.
Does that make sense? Cake, cheesy, even?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, just
Right?
say just go for it.
If you're zoned out, right, take a deep breath, reset, be like, Chemist, can we hear the plan again, right? And make it sound urgent as well. Be like, Chemist, we need the plan again. Or like, oh my God. Okay, you don't have to make it like that, but just, you don't even have to make it sound urgent, really. Just, Chemist, can we have the plan again? Like, whatever. And Chemist, you just repeat it. That's fine. Again, everyone knows that if you repeat something twice, usually it's people actually learn it that way. Saying something once and actually hearing it is really unlikely in almost every scenario, right? So that's a good way to kind of get it cemented into people's heads, okay? Or Chemist, what you could do as well is you could say the plan, say, everyone, did you hear that, right? And if someone's like, no, just admit it. Don't hide in the, don't say anything because even though you didn't hear what the plan was, just say like, Chemist, repeat that for someone else in case. So that's a good plan, guys. If you didn't hear the plan yourself, just say something like, can you repeat the plan for anyone who didn't get it? Say something like that, and then Chemist will just repeat it. If you really do, but you shouldn't care. And Chemist, don't get annoyed with people if they ask the plan again. You should actually be happy with them. If you hear that, it means they're actually focusing, genuinely.
I do it with the alt track, and if I don't process the alt track, and I ask again.
Good. So I want everyone to do that.
Get mad.
Genuinely, guys, it is better if you actually ask for a repeat, even if you've heard it anyway, because that means that, you know, other people who didn't will hear it again, and it's cemented into everyone's heads, basically. Does that make sense? So it's actually better to just ask it no matter what, right? And have one person ask it, like, chemist repeat or anything like that. Okay, but once you get really good, guys, you'll hear one ult plan and it will be enough. But yeah, that's not right now. Like it'll take a lot of practice anyway. But yeah, try that.
I mean, it's kind of the same for the ult tracking too. I know in the tournament we did ult track, but I didn't hear it. I don't know why. I was stupid. I was zoned out, so I just asked for it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't hear it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's great. So let me bold this. Wait, hold on. How has this happened? I'm gonna post the positives and negatives everyone said, right? Just so you guys can kind of look at them, because it's important to kind of do this. And sometimes you'd get like you guys might have done this already, but it's a good kind of way to know. Anyway, do you have the VOD of the tournament or a tournament game?
The code I've already sent to you.
Oh, yep. Okay. Okay, let me. Why is my sound gone? Oh, why is my sound gone? It's something to do with my audio. Wait. Wait, what the? Okay, I have no audio. That's fine. It's something to do with my Right, it doesn't matter. We don't no audio for this, okay? Everyone here watching?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, what's the first thing? You know, it's Rush being played, right? This meta, okay, like Brawl. Okay, so you guys know that. Did you guys guess they were going to be playing Brawl?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you did because you have the Mei, right? Mei is obviously not that good against spam or dive, but Mei is great with Brawl and great against Brawl. She's like the best hero in that scenario. Okay, so I'm guessing your plan here is to bait them through this choke and then wall them off. Yeah, everyone know that. Everyone know that's the plan, and everyone knew this at the time. Yeah. Okay, let's see how this goes. God, it's so weird without audio. Jesus, wait. You think I can? Let's see this. Yeah, I don't know why. It's to do with my audio settings. Oh, I know why. Okay, let's keep that on. Yeah, there goes. Oh, it's on. Okay, right. Now let's see how this starts. So, Chemist, I like this, right? You're baiting them out mid so that they're not like, you know, always having one person in vision means that they don't expect everyone else to be hiding. Does that make sense? So I like this, Chemist, to wait here. So then they see you and they don't expect the Mei wall. But what happened?
They realized and walled off.
Yep, they realized anyway because they didn't go in fast enough. So they were kind of expecting the Mei here, right? For your Mei here, for Sponkin, what should he do?
Regroup with
in
me.
this scenario. So right now, you guys need to all regroup, right? You guys need to come around here and regroup at mid, okay? And try and catch them in the next choke, which is here, right? Or even that, okay? That's what you should do. But I want to say it now, the sideways wall like this from this position, okay, works if you know the enemy aren't going to play Mei. If you're not sure or you see a Mei needs to come and just wall them from main. Just wall them from main, right? It works. And to Sponkin as well, Sponkin needs to be on top of you, Chemist. So if you get walled off, he can just counter wall off as well, okay? So he needs to be literally on top of you. Does that make sense? And also, as well, if he's on top of you and they wall you off, both of you off, right? He can actually just look down and place a wall underneath you so you guys can climb back over. Does that kind of make sense? He can also do that. So yeah, he needs to be like right on top of you. But yeah, they spotted this and now you guys need to rotate. You guys make it in time. Look, you're back here
Is
already.
there anything I can do as an individual to like help prevent being walled off other than just I mean I can group up with my team, but like as an
by the enemy
individual, is there
Mei?
anything- Yeah.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
That's what I know. That's what's stupid. I guess, right, there are micro things you can do. So one of them, right, might be to use corners more, like go in and out of corners, like corner strafe, right? Because she'll try and wall you off like that. But if you're going in and out of a corner, you know, when you get to the corner, you can always move out of the wall. Does that kind of make sense? The wall, if you're going in and out of the corner and you're here, the wall can never wall you off like that because it would, I mean, it could, but it would need to be like literally touch. It's just almost impossible from like here because you can't see that position there. So yeah, that's the only kind of micro thing you can do. Always play in and out of a corner and just strafe in and out, right? But the problem comes when you have to hold like here, right? Because the enemies are here, and then she's just gonna wall you like that. right? There's nothing much you can do there. Can anyone think of actually something that would help Chemist in that scenario?
And you like try to walk back immediately when you see the Mayu in your LOS, so if she fucks up the wall, you kind of just like bounce off it.
I don't agree with that. If the enemy May is good, right, it's not going to make a difference walking back. And the problem is, if you just continually walk back and back and back, what are you giving them?
A lot of fucking space.
Yeah, you're giving them a lot of space. So can anyone think of something them as an individual, as a player, can help to prevent that?
For me, I guess this isn't 100% on individual, but be the aggressor, go in first.
Yep,
like,
that's one thing
that wall off first.
That is one thing that can work. The first wall always wins, right?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't always win, but it helps.
Yeah, in theory. Or actually, Chemist could also, if you have to hold in that like position you mentioned earlier, he could position himself next to the car. Because the wall,
so,
even if you place it there, there'll be a gap that he can jump on the car and get out.
I mean, he won't. The thing is with May, right? If he's like here and May places the wall there, it's the same issue, right? He can't.
But I mean, like,
the car doesn't help. Yeah, that is true. But what you kind of realize is there's not much Chemist can do himself other than like the best one is seriously the one I said about if you strafe in and out of a corner, there's always going to be a gap in the wall. But so if you're ever in this scenario, Chemist, where you have to do that, there is one thing you should all do, and this is why playing with and against May requires so much teamwork, right? And it's this. Basically, when you get walled off, Chemist, I want you to hold your shield out, so you third person it, and walk backwards in the middle chunk. And I want everyone, don't try and run around, right? Just like literally one Ed right click and everyone else shooting the wall at the same time, the middle chunk will get destroyed. And Ryan's can fit through the middle chunk now, right? Because of the new like update. Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did everyone know that basically?
Yeah, it's like we also do it. We also call it and be like, shoot the middle, shoot the middle, shoot the middle.
Well, this is the thing, right? You don't even have to call it, but I would. If it comes up in your head, do it, right? But what I see the mistake most teams make as a team is that they see the wall and they try and run around it. And actually, it's funny. Older teams more likely to do that because back in the day, May's wall had way more HP. You'd have to shoot off 2 whole chunks. And it was just like, it took too long. By the time the wall came up, like by the time you shot off 2 chunks with the high HP, like the run would be dead, right? Or be frozen or anything like that. Now they've nerfed it so much that all you need to do, right, is Chemist, just hold out your shield and third person walk backwards in through the middle. So Chemist, in third person, you know where the middle is. So you can just walk backwards, hold down S basically, right? And everyone, right, one right click from you, Ed, right? And you just shoot the wall, right? If you're far away, Ed, then you just left click it, but everyone shoot it. Just shoot it. Seriously, it will get destroyed in time. And then what does Sponken do once Ed makes it through the wall, but is on like 10 HP or something? What can happen there?
You counter.
Right, yes. But also, if need be, I do, or Ang, right, will throw a lamp as well, right, to save that. But yeah, then you just counter wall. Sponken shouldn't panic, right, and just counter wall like immediately, like, oh shit, I need to just wall as fast as possible, because then they'll get their next wall faster. Try and counter wall, but block off the like a proper wall on the enemy Reinhardt as well. So there's almost like 2 walls. But yeah, genuinely, if the wall is up like that and you make it through, Chemist, if they chase you through the choke, the wall is a choke, right? They're literally running through a choke. You just kill them, right? You all shoot back. Does that make sense? But yeah, genuinely, a wall shouldn't be enough to kill you ever if your whole team shoots at the middle of the wall like immediately. But yeah, always shoot the middle, guys. Always shoot the middle. Okay, so you guys are speeding into them. You get a good wall off. Actually, wait, hold on. Right, there's a problem here. I say you get a good wall off. Let's watch this again. What do you think went wrong, guys? Watch it again. So, what's wrong so far immediately? What's wrong with this?
We too split?
No, you're too far back. Why are you this far back? If the choke is this, right, you guys need to be there. Does that make sense? Right, this is how you hold. So this is a problem with King's Row. You guys always remember, how does a choke work? If it's rush v rush, you're holding right next to each other, but with a choke in the way. Does that kind of make sense? If this is the choke, your team needs to be there, right? Does that make sense? And Chemist, what you do is you can go in and out of either this room or in and out of this corner here. It doesn't matter. But if you hold here, it's a beneficial for so many teammates, because what happens is, Cheesy, you play on the statue. You're on top of the statue. You can boot people back. You can boot people in. Blah blah. The statue is incredible for you, Cheesy, because it means also if they wall off your Rhine, you can jump on top of the wall and boop them back while shooting the wall. Okay, give your Rhine more time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you guys need to be playing in this position, and also obviously you're closer to the choke. The problem here is if you do decide to run into them, what's going to happen? You're too far away. By the time you run into them, they're already going to see it and they're just going to run back, which is exactly what happened, by the way. Okay, it's just too far away. You can't speed into a team if you're this far away to begin with. Okay, you need to be ready. You need to be like right next to them and then speed into their face so they don't even have a chance to react. Does that make sense? So yeah, and this, by the way, this problem arose because Chemist, you moved backwards. When you saw the wall there, you moved backwards to here and you guys stayed here. What you can do is you can move back when your team regroups, move back in, and then hold here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That is what should have happened. Genuinely, right? Because at this point now, you're so far away of the choke. They could just walk in. You're not even going to be able to get a wall off properly, because you're so far away, right? Really hard for a May wall at that distance. But also, you can't speed into them. So all you have to do is literally wait for them to get to about here, where they're in like face to face with you. And at that point, there's no choke anymore. So a wall doesn't win you the fight. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is the problem you had here. So watch. Right? You started pushing up here, but the speed boost came out. But they saw you push up. I mean, imagine you're a red team, guys. Right? Watch this. Imagine you're a red team, the camera here, and you see the team starts walking into you like this, right? This is your vision, right? And you see them start walking forward. You're gonna know that there's a wall coming, and it's gonna wall you off. So what's your initial reaction if you see them running into you like that?
Back up.
Yeah, back up. You're gonna see, oh shit, the team's come into me. Let's back up to this choke, right? And especially if you add a speed boost here, because Cheesy sped here, it's too late. They're already backing up, and this is why the wall failed. Right, Ang, this is mental. I don't know what's going on here, right? He's trying to off angle. Don't do that, right? Wait. I thought I do was the main support.
He is, yeah. Cheesy.
Yeah, but he was late for the game, so I filled in on these games.
Oh, so who's? Oh, okay, fine. Right. Fine. Anyway, the point is, for Ang here, off-angling like this is bad. That's not his job, right? If he wants to do an off-angle like this, he can do it on top of the statue, right? Again, be on the statue. And like from the statue, you've got the high ground heal, and you can off-angle and kind of rotate way quicker instead of having to go all the way around like this. So yeah, high ground is... Right. Who's Ang, by the way, in this call?
It's me.
Oh, it's Cake. Right, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Cake, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's actually... I looked back at this one, and that was already like... That's a mistake that I said, that I realized, and also
that's fine, because you understand that you're split from your team here, and it's like that's not your job as a Baptiste, right? Your job is to heal and do damage from like honestly high ground or over shields, right? And you're kind of doing damage over shields now, but why do you need to be off angling to do that, right? You can do it from high ground like here or here, but I'd prefer you be with your team and standing like here and shooting people heal, shoot heal like this. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And again, you're BAP. You can stand on this thing if you really want this thing here, right? You can stand on here and play it if you want, or stand up here, or even go up to the roof, like up here if you... I mean, this is stupid because you'll get killed by McCree, but yeah, you need some sort of cover to strafe in and out. But you're Baptiste, right? Or you could even go here if you really want to, but I think that's too far back, right? But anyway, let's see what happens here. So this is a charge from both Rhines. Okay, what am I going to say?
It's too far in, but to be fair, I charged because I thought his was going to come through, but a hitboxing happened.
You saw the enemy charge. Right, that's a problem with charging a charge, and that is a really good point, honestly, because technically you did a good play, but because someone stunned it, it's like what do you even do in that scenario, right? You have to literally be like, don't stun him, and you can't say that, right? People don't say that, like, oh, don't stun him, I'm charging. It's too fast. People don't say that, right?
I don't think it was even a stun. He hit something randomly and stopped, and it stopped.
Are you sure? I thought it was McCree stun. You might be right. I mean, this is insane.
There's the Cree stun.
Oh,
already.
yeah! He hit the sign. Okay. Right. So, okay, what should you do in that scenario, Chemist? If you're going
should have waited for it to come through.
No, don't even have to do that. The moment you see him start to charge and you react with the charge like this, the moment you charge... I mean, wait, you both pressed it simultaneously, by the way. This wasn't even a reaction. Watch.
Oh, okay.
You both pressed it simultaneously. Watch. I mean, literally watch this. You guys are ready? Wait for it. Watch you both press it simultaneously. See?
Oh,
You're both charging right now. I heard that. You won't hear it because you
Kind of
both
amazing.
pressed it simultaneously. So I mean, genuinely, you can't even say that you did it as a reaction because that's a
I
lie.
thought I did, but I
It
didn't.
is simultaneous. Like it was 0.01 seconds between each other. You can't react that humanly fast, right?
Yeah.
But that's fine. The problem I would say here, right, is where should a pin always end? If you're playing this comp, where should a pin always end?
Well, close to your team at least, like
Nope,
within it,
behind on the
preferably.
wall. It should always end on the wall, right? If you're playing a Mei, the pin should always end on the wall. So if you're looking to pin the Reinhardt, the pin should be like this and end there. Does that make sense? Right?
Mhm.
If the pin's ending anywhere else, it's a problem with Mei. You shouldn't even be pinning like that. Think about it, right? If you didn't have a Mei and this wall wasn't here, would you just charge like that normally? You wouldn't, right? Okay, if you had like I mean, I know the point is your team was running in, right? I mean, it's like a simultaneous problem. The first problem was your team was charging in, so you thought go in, go in, go in. But it also was like you're not ending the pin against the wall, so you end up just charging into their team and dying, right? You know this, Chemist, never charge into their team ever. Okay?
Yeah.
Never charge into their team. You know that. So the only time it's fine to charge into their team or into the Reinhardt is if he's walled off, basically, right? And this is what the enemies will do to you, right? If this is how they'll wall you off as Mei, they're going to charge into you as soon as the wall comes out. And then that's why they kill you so fast, right? That's what's going to kill you. Okay? And at that point, that's why basically your team needs to shoot the mid of the wall immediately. So then Ang, right, Cake, can basically react with a lamp as soon as the middle part of the wall gets broken. Does that make sense? And you can do that. A Cake, by the way. The moment the middle part of the wall gets broken, just throw a lamp like immediately, just in case he's gonna die. Does that make sense? Because if Chemist gets walled off and they pin into him, he is dead. Because you can't get a bubble because you can't see him or anything. You just can't help him, right? What's another way you can counter this, by the way? The enemy Ryan charge.
Stun.
But what if you're walled off?
Oh, like me? I mean, counter charging just has the same effect, doesn't it?
Yep. So you can counter charge, and that does save you the damage. So that's one thing, Chemist, you can do. If you're walled off and he's charging into you, you just counter charge. Yeah. And the second thing is a boop from your Lucio, right? It doesn't stop the charge. It just gives you a slight second more time. Okay. And technically, he should always do the boop anyway. Why would Lucio be able to boop? Because Lucio's position should always be on a wall, right? This is how you play Lucio properly, okay? This is why every time you're holding anywhere, right, Lucio should never be on the ground here. This is like bad Lucio gameplay, okay? This isn't how... Sorry?
Nothing.
Said,
Right, wait, what? Why, what's up?
Nothing. He was
cheesy.
making a joke.
That's fine. Right, basically, yeah, you should never be on the ground as Lucio. You should always be on high ground, on a wall, backwards and forwards. When I was playing, like in my old team, basically, I kind of replaced, what's his name? I can't remember. This other Lucio that's insane, right? I think it was Lucer. No, it was Lucer's teammate. Who's Lucer? I can't remember his teammate. Anyway, this guy, right, this old Lucio was insane at this. He would literally not touch the ground for like a whole game, right? And sorry, my mic disconnected. I always fucking do that. Okay, he wouldn't touch the ground for like almost a whole game. It was ridiculous, right? And it's not like, so this doesn't mean like he's not allowed to touch the floor at all. He could touch the ground here, but it was on high ground. You see what I mean? So he'd never touch the base ground. Does that kind of make sense? Mm-hmm. Right, and this is one thing for I do, blah, blah. So if you're ever on the base ground, there's something wrong. If you're in the air constantly, either playing around an area where you can be on the high ground in the air, blah, 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 it's insane for Lucio because he never gets shattered, so he can counter with the beat, and he always counters the enemy Mei rolls. It is like essential for this, right? It is essential that Lucios are never on the ground with their team like this. They're always either up here. Basically on King's Row, right, Lucio, the team always plays around the statue, so you play either here or here, depending on which way the enemy's going, right? And Lucio's always on the statue. And what happened was, at high level as well, I would be like facing off pretty much. Like, and it would be like me, Lucio, versus another Lucio on the statue, and you'd just be booping each other off the statue like constantly. It was just like a mini 1v1, like constantly, and you have to get used to that, right? And it was literally who could stay on the statue for longer until one of the Lucios booped the other one down, and it's like you know, the Sparta, like like literally like 300 the movie, right? It's who can stay on the statue for the longest. Okay, that's kind of how you play the Lucio here. But anyway, the point was that's how you counter an enemy May wall. But the problem here, Chemist, is if you see that his charge is cancelled, what should you do here?
Turn and charge it and turn it off.
Turn right and charge into that wall immediately.
Yeah.
And you have to expect it as well. If you're going for a pin, right, Chemist, you have to almost always be turning like immediately, as if you're expecting his one to cancel. Because if his one does cancel, right, you're ready to run into the wall. And if his one doesn't cancel, you'd pin him anyway. Does that make sense? So you always need to be like expecting, if you're going for a charge, you always need to be turning immediately and expecting to hit the nearest wall as quick as possible. And this is why I say the thing about the May wall, because the May wall is your nearest wall. Try and not to charge as the May wall is about to get destroyed, because then you just go flying through, and that's kind of like, this is either your fault or it's May's fault, depending on, you know, why the wall got destroyed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but yeah, so that's how you, and this is kind of the issue with this fight, right? You charge him, he's bubbled, the bubble might run out. Or the bubble, no, it didn't run out, that's unfortunate. And now you're completely out of position, the team split. You guys try to follow him this way. Don't do that, obviously come around this way. I mean, the May literally saved your guys' asses here, right? Doing this wall was just so stupid from their May, because now it forces you to go around anyway, and this is like what you want to do. So you come around. Right, this Zarya is just completely inting at this point. Like, this Zarya could be dead, but your team weren't there ready, so it's absolutely fine that she's not dead. But I mean, she gets really low. Like, nah, she has a bubble then anyway. Okay, what's the plan here? What's the plan here? What did you say, Chemist, when that happened? Back up.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, remember, backing up as rush is only like if there's literally no other good option, but there isn't, because you've lost your you've lost Ang, right? Did anyone notice Cake dying? Let's watch how he died, okay? Cake, if you had used that jump to jump onto there, it would have been amazing, but you didn't, sadly. And now you're, yeah, dead because of it, right? And I'm guessing, okay. Wait, I want to see, well, how'd you die? I don't understand.
Literally the pixel you drop your shield, I died to an icicle.
Oh wow, that is unfortunate. Okay,
that is mad unlucky.
Deaths like that you can't really help, right? It's just like, those are sort of the perfect picks. That's a perfect pick from May, and it's not even on purpose, so it's not consistent ever, right? Does that make sense? I mean, you should have won the first fight, you guys, right? Because they made massive mistakes, but because you guys did as well, you know, you don't win the first fight. You guys should have won that first fight, and it wouldn't have even got to this scenario. But now that they see your BAP is dead, right, they're just going to push, and you guys are going to die. But the reason, Ang, as well, I know I say this is like perfect pick, right? It is your misplay as well. Because you were just moving all over the place. You shouldn't do that as BAP. Where should you be as BAP? Always.
High ground recover.
You should always be next to cover. You shouldn't be like swiggling around in the open ever, right? You just go in and out, next to cover. In and out, next to cover. Like that. That's it. There's nothing else to do, right? Yes, again, a pick can happen like that. It is actually less likely though, because you've got the cover like 50% of the time. And with Chemist, you know, you've just got a shield there. And yeah, it was this pick was really unlucky, as I said. It was a perfect pick. But it's even less likely if you use cover as well, because it's two pieces of protection. It's your cover and a Reinhardt shield, okay? So it's like 25% almost to get picked off. But yeah, you should always be doing that. So the better position for you here would have been to be like here, behind this. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to do high ground, like I said earlier, I mean, you could have gone up here, but the problem with this is you have no shield at that point, right? Yes, you have cover, so you can go in and out, and I like this, right? In and out, or you can heal from the outside like this, right? So the enemies can never see you. Because what's another benefit of doing this, by the way? And not standing right here. It splits the enemies'
attention.
Yeah, it splits their attention. So if you're up here, like healing like this, perfect with perfect movement in and out, like really like strafe healing really, really quickly, an enemy's going to see you up here and they're going to try and shoot you, right? And if they're shooting you, they're not shooting Chemist, so you guys are winning the shield war. Does that make sense? Whereas if you're down here with Chemist, they're going to be all shooting at Chemist, so all the extra damage is going into Chemist, so he loses his shield quicker, he takes more damage quicker. Does that make sense to everyone? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Can you think of anything why that might be bad or anything like that? What's your risk up here?
Getting sniped.
Nope. If you strafe
I get
good enough and you stay out of their line of sight, right, it's almost impossible. Okay, if they had a Widow, fine, but it's almost impossible to die because you can always survive one shot. And if you get hit once, right, you know to change the timing of your strafes or hide a bit or don't even go in their vision at all. Does that make sense? Right? What's the problem with being up here, though?
I mean, for me, the problem is just Mei in general.
Why?
I would say the Mei is a bigger threat than Kree, actually.
Wait, why? Because of Mei right clicks?
Mei right clicks and she can just wall me off and I'm out of the fight for a long time.
So Mei right clicks, as I said, it's not a problem. If a Mei right click's coming, you can just strafe it out, right? You won't be thinking about that, but if you get your timing right, or as I'm saying, if you stand in a position like here, right, where the enemies can't even see you, but you can still heal. Does that make sense? Right? You never even have to see your teammates. Does that make sense? And you can crouch to do this to get the really precise like movement and in and out. And remember, your right click is a splash as well. That's not a problem. If you are just constantly getting hit, right? Let's say you take 2 hits or you take a hit or something like that. You can always drop down, right? Drop down like this and continue to heal like that behind your team. But yeah, remember, you can stay far away from your team because if Chemist gets walled off, you're not going to be. All you need is a lamp. You can't heal him anyway. All you need is a lamp, and you can lamp from a distance, so it's fine. Okay. But what was another problem that you said about holding like a high ground place?
The other thing I said was I could just get walled off and it would just speed in.
But that's great because if you get walled off, always be in a position where you can drop down and continue to heal. If you go in a high ground where walling off would screw you completely, and there isn't many places, I think this would be the only place, right? This would be a bad place for you, right? Because yeah, if you get walled off, you're screwed. But this is a decent place because if you get walled off, you can drop down and continue to heal, lamp, whatever. And this is fine because if you get walled off up here, right, like this, so you're going in and out. If you get walled off here, what can you do?
I can just jump on top of the wall.
Yeah, and you're already holding down crouch to get like a really precise movement. But what's the problem with this place here? If your team rotates through the arch, you can't get back to them quickly. Yeah, you're split. So you'd have to go, if they rotate through the arch, you'd have to go all the way back here and then drop down with them like that, right? So you can be split from your team. And this is why you need to know what your team's rotation is like, okay? What's Chemist, what would you do here? Let's say Aang didn't die, right? But they would damage you a lot and you wanted to back up. Where would you rotate to?
Probably just to the corner behind me next to hotel.
So to this corner. And would you hold your ground here until you died?
It depends if other people on the team have died. Because if not, then I probably would, I think.
Yeah. Great. That's fine. As long as you say we're not going to back up to the arch, right? Then Cake, you can play here in this window and like heal from here, or you can play here and it's fine. Because who can go on you, Cake?
No one.
Who can actually go on you?
Lucio.
That's it. It's Lucio, right? And if Lucio starts wall riding himself, think about it, his team's over there, and he starts wall riding himself up to you. You literally just scream, Lucio's on me, and Ed, you just turn and just kill the Lucio. You just shoot him twice, right? And what you do there, right, is you heal yourself, Cake, and you just shoot him with bursts. Doesn't matter how many times you hit him, you could hit him with like 1 bullet in every burst. With the help of Ed, Lucio's dead, and if their Lucio dies, right, you just speed into them and they lose. Does that make sense? Okay, so genuinely realize the massive benefit of being on these high grounds and just like literally like being in a place where on like a high ground where you can't get walled, or there's always an alternative. Because you know what's great as well? If they wall you, it's amazing. It's actually good if they wall you, by the way, because that means there's no wall for your Rhine and you can just evade the wall and just go back out and just, do you see what I mean? Right? So it's actually good if they wall you. They're losing a wall. So where is the issue at this point? Where's the disadvantage at this point? What's the like risk?
At this point, pretty much nothing.
There isn't a real right.
like,
As long as the only real risk is getting headshotted and dying, right? And this is your positioning. If you have really good movement and positioning, genuinely, you can always stay out of the enemy's line of sight and almost always heal, or like practice to strafe heal, as I said, right? In, out, like heal, 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 like that. Look how I'm doing it. Right click, right click, right click, right click, like that. And literally and obviously this is slow as well because I'm in replay. In an actual game, you're going super fast, like heal, 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 like, well, okay, you're not healing that fast, but you can strafe in and out way faster and like reload or anything like that. So before we move on, the only issue is if the enemy team are playing what type of rush?
Sombra.
Why Sombra?
Because she'll be trying to flank and then possibly
I don't
kill,
even see
but more
Sombra
than
as
likely
that
not.
bad because you can always, if Sombra's about to hack you, you just panic shift. If Sombra's about to hack you, you just quickly press shift and you 1v1 her and you win. Right? You win in a Sombra 1v1 if you press shift or you panic lamp as well. Okay? Or we can do both and you kill her or she runs away. I mean, you don't want a lamp, right? Because it's a waste. But even with a shift, you can beat her in a 1v1. So it's not Sombra rush that's the problem. What's another problem? There is a character, there's 2 characters that would be a problem, or even 3 technically. Who do you think? Okay.
In a rush comp?
Yep.
Or just any hero in general?
No, there's 3 characters that would be played in a rush comp that would be a problem for you if you're doing that high ground strat far away from your team.
I guess an Echo could be a problem if they run in rush. Can't really think. What else would they?
Okay, yeah. I mean, she
play
would be a
Echo in
problem.
rush?
So would Farah, right? Basically, the main problems you have that you would see the most in rush are Reaper, yeah, Widow, and Hanzo. You don't really play Widow rush, but as I said, Widow can be played with anyone. Hanzo can be played in rush because his dragon's good and he's got a lot of shield damage. So basically, it's those 3: Reaper, Widow. Do you understand why those 3 are your problem?
I understand the snipers, not necessarily Reaper.
Because Reaper will just teleport on you and kill you, right?
Oh,
You're
okay,
never
yeah,
going to kill a
yeah.
Reaper. He would teleport you and flank you. And if you get flanked doing that gameplay, it's not good ever. If you're against a flanker and you get flanked, it's game over. You just have to stay with your team, right? That's why. Okay. Honestly, I'm surprised you guys are playing like this meta with like May McCree. Oh, I mean, I can understand it because May McCree is good. You have the close range May with the walls, which is amazing, and you have the McCree for the long range like picks on people that are out of position. If you're playing proper true rush with a perfect team, right, you would honestly play May Reaper because Reaper is your flanker to stop anyone from doing what I've just said you should do. Right, Reaper deals with you if you go on the high ground. Like he'll shit on you, so you can't do that anymore. Right, and Reaper can flank really, really well. And May provides another close range kind of like wall. I mean, the wall is great, stuff like that. Okay, and if you guys learn how to play against May or May gets nerfed, the meta will be Reaper McCree. I'm telling you. Okay. Do you guys know why McCree is always picked in this?
I assumed for the stun on the Rhine, so you can blow him up easily.
It's because
easier even.
Yeah, so he is close range and long range. That's why he's got a right click stun, which is loads of close range damage with the stun, obviously. So he's got the right click stun, which is incredible close range, and he has long range pick potential against people that are out of position. Now, this is why I said if you're against a team that never goes out of position, they just stay as a massive group, right? Why pick McCree? Just go Reaper. Does that make sense? Because Reaper will do more if the enemy team's positioning is perfect. But you can't be like, oh, their positioning is gonna be perfect. It's not what happens, right? Which is why McCree is really good in like these scenarios. Does that make sense? Where you don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. Right. I'm guessing you lose this fight anyway, so I can just kind of like. Why did I know you were gonna lose this fight?
Because we were 1 down and low on resources. I was half health.
Actually, guys, I'm gonna give you a list, right, of who the big priorities are. So if these people die, starting from 1 to like 6, right, the fight is over. If the person at 1 dies, the fight is definitely over. If the person at 6 dies, the fight can still go on, right? So 1, who's the biggest one where if they die, it's over in Rush v Rush? Yep. Who's number 2?
The support, like if it's on or like Bap or
Bap.
whatever.
Bap. Who's number 3?
I would say May in this composition, maybe.
Nope,
Sure.
I'd say Zarya. Well, I guess if it's May v May, you could get away with that, right? You could say May, right?
I was just thinking like of the May versus May because if they can wall and freeze us and we can't,
No.
we are a bit fucked. But
Yeah, but they're going to do that anyway. Do you see what I mean? They're going to wall you off anyway. The May doesn't make that much of a difference. You need to think is this character going to help in the close range fights a lot, or are they going to help destroy the enemy walls, right? That's the only two things. Mei doesn't really help destroy the enemy walls. Mei helps you to engage. But if you've got one of your characters got picked off, right, you're going to engage slow. I mean, you could just fully in, and you would do that. So Mei would help, right? But in that scenario, Zarya is going to output more damage, and Zarya is going to keep your Rhine alive longer. Does that make sense? This is why I think Zarya is more of a priority, because Zarya keeps her Rhine alive and deals more damage to the enemy shield. And those are the two objectives in Rush v Rush. Does that make sense? Mei is there as like a situational thing. Let's say this. If your Mei is amazing, right? If you have an amazing Mei, sorry, wrong Mei, then yeah, Mei would be higher, right? Because an amazing Mei will carry the fight even one down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you think Lucio's this high up, or Lucio's third, or anything like that?
Because we're talking like mid fight, right? Lucio doesn't have as much value mid fight.
Yeah, once Lucio's
does
used
on
his
the
speed
engage.
or sped out, blah blah blah, he doesn't have that much value, right? The heal is just like hardly. The whole point of Lucio is the speed boost. That's literally the big point. Does that make sense? Right. So now, after me saying that, who would you say is your big number 3? Anyone? Guess. Throw some names up.
Zarya.
Zarya still.
Zarya or
Would you agree with Zarya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because again, mid fight she's gonna have energy as well, so she's gonna provide some value. Okay. And again, another reason why Zarya is kind of like a toss up is because if Zarya is like on 10 energy, it's not like as important. But she still has a bubble for your Rhine, so it keeps her Rhine around for longer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's number 4 then?
3.
Would you say Kree? Why would you say Kree?
Lots of mid fight damage, the stun.
I would say Mei.
I would say Mei too, yeah.
Mei.
This is an interesting toss-up, okay? Mei or Kree, again, I think it depends on your Mei, right? It depends on how good your Mei is, and if Mei has a wall up, right? If Mei whiffs your wall, it doesn't mean anything. But yeah, Mei is very important here to, like, actually do the objective of your team, right? If you want to push in. I would say Mei, and there's a reason for this, actually. There's a bigger reason. Basically...
I think... Oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh, it's the real little Uzi Vert, by the way. Basically... if the fight, right, if one of you dies in the fight, what should the plan be? And Chemist, this is going to be against everything you know, right? And this is going to be horrible to do, but you should do this. If one of the important one dies, so let's say like top 3, right? What should you do?
Go in.
Yep, just int yourselves in, right? Int yourselves in. You don't have to int yourselves into the Rhine. You can just int yourselves into anyone, right? But cool out, right? Obviously, if your Rhine dies, it's a problem, right? Because if you go in, you're just all going to die and you're just going to fall apart. But you should go in anyway, right? Because it ends the fight quicker and it gets you another fight. So either way, if anyone dies, you should be speeding in, right? Or just running in. Doesn't matter. They're gonna run into you, so it's not really a problem. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why with Mei can turn that around, right? So if you're all going in, she can use her wall to actually like get or secure 1 kill, and that might be enough to make the fight even again. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So
Yep.
I think the bottom 3 can be swapped around. I'm not gonna make these like set in stone because I don't think Lucio is. If Lucio dies, I don't think it's like oh, it's fine. It doesn't mean anything. It still means a lot because you lose your whole speeding in potential. You lose your speeding out potential. The problem is if one person dies, as you just said, should you guys speed out? Unless that's a reset. If you speed out, you're resetting and you're waiting for it's like one pick off and you guys have given up. Does that make sense? And you should never do that in games, right? If someone gets picked off, they should be punished for a start and not get picked off again. But you should just commit and go in anyway. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I put Lucio like bottom 3, because if they're going to run into you anyway and you guys are going to go in anyway, you don't need the speed boost because you guys are going to be next to each other within a millisecond anyway. Does that make sense? It helps. So he's not useless. It's just not important. Okay. So does everyone kind of agree on this? If these 3 are like interchangeable. Yeah. And the reason these are interchangeable because it means, what does it mean? If let's say Mei dies, is that like the fight's over, or is it like we continue?
You can continue.
And also normally we don't have to like just suicide in there. We can just still take kind of a normal fight.
This is what I was gonna say. So if the top 3 die, just suicide. You don't even have to suicide. You run in there, call someone, and just use everything on them to try and make it even. Literally say like, let's say if your Ryan dies, I don't know, even just say like guys, go in, right, Ryan, go, use everything like that, right? And you're gonna in everything on him, and if the enemy Ryan dies, you can actually turn this around, right? Because it's a 5v5, okay? And if not, you guys were gonna lose anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same with your BAP. If your BAP just died here, you backing out here, chemist, it's a waste of time. Just run in, just in if your BAP dies, okay? Literally pretend to walk back and then just run in and like use everything on the person who's in front. Who's the person in front going to be? Probably the enemy Ryan. If it's anyone else, use everything on them instead, right? And I want you to call them out. And this is why I said this is not easy because it's going against everything you think, right? If you're a passive player or you're like a defensive player, this is like really, really hard to do because you're like, you really don't want to go in, right? But I'm telling you now, playing passive or defensive will not win you like fights that are down you. Does that kind of make sense? Like they're down players or anything like that. Playing super aggressive, right? Remember, does everyone remember this conversation about aggressive versus passive gameplay? Do you guys remember this from Route 66? What I said was, guys, for anyone that wasn't here, if everyone's listening still, basically, aggressive gameplay is higher chance of winning, but also a higher chance of making mistakes and then throwing the fight. Passive gameplay, lower chance of winning, but lower mistakes, so higher enemy mistakes. Does that kind of make sense?
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Bye.
See you later. But do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's why if you're one down, you need this big like risk. You need to just go aggressive, right? And if you guys make loads of mistakes going in and you all die, it doesn't matter. You're all gonna die anyway. Does that make sense, Kenneth? So you need to remember this and just commit to it. Seriously. Yeah. So that's what you guys should have done here. Running away, it's just a waste of time, and they're gonna cap the point faster, but because they've got the Lucy on the point anyway. Does that make sense? And now you don't get a recontest because you gave this up. If you guys had all died and they had no percentage when you all died, you might have been not recontest, but you might have been able to like hold the first corner. Now they're gonna push you up on the first corner. I mean, you might be able to hold it anyway, actually. Okay, chemist. How do you know if they don't have a player with them on payload?
Because it's moving.
Because there's a 1 on the payload at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah? What should you do in this scenario?
Engage?
Yeah, just run into them. Just 100% run into them, right? Lucia then has to run from the point. He can't speed them out. They have no speed boost. They're literally, you don't understand how slow players move without speed boost. It is like, have you ever seen like console gameplay? It's like that. That's how slow players move without a speed boost, okay? So if they try and run away, it's going to take them 20 years, and then Mei can literally walk up to their face and wall behind them. Does that make sense? The closer your Mei is to the enemy, the easier the wall is, okay? Simple as that. Anyway, this should be an engage immediately. So the wall comes out from both of you, but you guys need to be engaging in because look, Lucia's still not there. There's no way you lose this. Does that make sense? You just need to run into them. Like your team will look at this. Did you see the issue here? You did this well, chemist, actually. What was the issue that I'm gonna say?
I didn't see, I don't think.
Again, your charges are just a bit. By the way, do you do these charges because you want the bubble to wear off?
No, I was like, because this map, my ping was like 300, so I was charging when I was way further behind than where I actually am in game. So on my screen, that was going into the wall, but because of ping, it was fucking halfway across the map.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, this is why, by the way, your team all backed up to the corner, even you were up 1, right? Because the Lucia's not there. Because you would charge there, and you're now not with your team. This is a big misplay again, okay? It's the same misplay as the first point, okay? If it's the ping, I understand that. Just try and always end charges almost instantly. If the charge lasts more than like 1 second, don't do that. Okay. Anyway, you saw you guys destroyed this fight, right? Ryan, they have no chance to run away. They're so slow. They'll try and jump away, but you guys are going to win this because Lucio just stayed on the payload. Made no sense, right? That makes no sense to me, but fine. Are you guys going to dive this? Should you dive this? Yes or no? Quickly, decide now.
No.
No.
No, why not?
The spawn's right there, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Cake. What about this position from you? What do you think about it?
I think it's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, do you think this is good so far?
Yeah, I think it's all right, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you're doing this because the enemies are running away, so this is fine to do. Now, if the enemies then come and go there, where should you be? Should you still be there or move?
Go where exactly? Like, they start pushing?
Like, if the enemies, right, where's the choke now? Right, the choke is this archway. This is the choke. If the enemy team goes to there, should you stay up there or where should you go?
Oh no, I should definitely drop back.
Where should you go though?
Either play corner or that high ground to the left.
Yeah, perfect, fine. At least you know that. All good. Do you actually end up killing this bat? Really good work. Yeah, nice work. This is good because it's going for the extra pickoffs. What do you think I'm gonna say about your shift usage there? I mean, not to use shift for yourself, but because it's the end of the fight, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine. By the way, is there any reason you guys play BAP in the rush? Is it just for the lamp?
It's for extra support onto the swings and the aggression with the Ryan.
Okay, for the lamp and the shift and stuff like that. I don't like BAP with Ryan, but the lamp is just always so good. Like, I understand it. Like, a good lamp is like really good and like super helpful. I just don't like it, but that's fine. I mean, who else could you play? I mean, all teams I guess are playing this. Who else could you play though? Who's a rush support? Moira, Anna, right? Yeah. Moira is like really good help with the swings. I mean, with her ultimate, right? The problem with the Moira Anna is the benefit that Moira gets is from her ultimate, but she gets it really fast anyway, and she does heal more than BAP as well. But the problem with Moira is you can't do the high ground thing. Do you see what I mean about before? That's the advantage BAP has. So if you're not using that advantage of going to the high grounds and like healing from there, right? You lose one of the big advantages. It's not that there's no point. The lamp is still great, but I would legitimately prefer an Anna because if you get a sleep or a nade on the enemy Ryan at all, it's like that's a fight won, right? See what I mean? And if the enemies start rushing in and you get a nade off, right? And if you nade more than 2 people, it's a guaranteed win, or like one person at least has to run away. Does that kind of make sense? But yeah, sleep is enough to like, because also, what's a big benefit of a sleep against the Ryan Zarya combo?
It forces a bubble.
Yep, but if you sleep the Ryan and she bubbles the Ryan that's asleep, he can just stay asleep. Do you see what I mean? And then you can set up a charge wall or anything like that. It actually happens more than you think, right? But that's a misplay from the Zarya. I mean, the Zarya should do it like really early, and she should actually block the sleep with the bubble. But again, good luck with that, right? It's insanely hard. And that again, using nade and sleep, you want to wait until the Zaryas use the bubble and then go for nades and sleeps. Anyway, but yeah, BAP, he's not terrible. I just hate his ultimate. How should you use his ultimate, by the way?
I normally use it like on a corner to either make space or like before, like for example, as I speed in, I'll toss down the lamp or sorry, the window, like as I speed in or just a little bit before to just put in the extra damage and either spam and
I don't think that's that good actually. So do you use it with your McCree?
I think we tried to coordinate, but actually never had the.
It's really hard unless you're both glued to each other, and you be, but it's hard mid game. Try and use it solo. Like go on high ground and just wall and just laser people like teammates. Yeah. Genuinely, that can actually be good. And remember, there's no real good use of the square in this team comp. The only good time to use or the good use of it is with Ed. For Ed just to kill people if the enemies are split, or if the enemies are running into you, right? That's when you square. That would probably be the only other good square. Yeah. If the enemies start speeding into you, you just square. The problem is, right? And this is the mistake you guys made. If the enemies are speeding into you, would they speed into you from like here, or would they speed into you from like over there? What's the mistake you guys made on the first point? You sped into them from far away, right? This is why it's terrible, because if you speed into them far away, they could square you, they could just run away. Never speed in from far away. You guys need to be like head on like that and then speed into them, right? Because what it does is it just overwhelms them and they panic and they get booped, blah, 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 right? What Lucio should do is speed, wall ride up, but boot people into your team and then land over here, right? There is a way to do that. So I used to always do that. It's really easy to do actually, where you do the wall ride up with the speed over, look down like that, boop, and then land on this side, right? Does that make sense? That's one thing Lucio needs to try if you're doing the speed-ins. But yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Jesus Christ, I need a wireless headset, man. This is horrendous. I need a wireless headset. It's so annoying.
I keep thinking it's my end because everyone goes silent.
I like move my feet, and because of the wire, or the wire gets tangled in my feet or the chair, and it's like, Jesus, just unplugs. Yeah. So anyway, you understand that anyway. Let's move on. I just want to see the next fight. We won't go over too much.
Okay.
Start thinking of some questions as well, guys, that weren't covered, that are like important ones that you needed to know. Start thinking of them, and I'll go into the next fight quickly. Okay, they're all coming from high ground. They're going to probably jump through the window. If you see the Zarya up there, they're going to jump through the window, or they're just going to jump off. Yep. So what you do is you back up like you're doing here and hold this corner instead. If they jaw drop off to the payload, you go up forward and hold this corner, right? That's how you do it. So let's see what happens. They're going to all speed into you, guaranteed. Yeah, because they're all waiting there. Really good wall there, though. Right? Okay, we haven't actually been through ultimates. Yeah, so that's one thing. By the way, do you now realize why the square is bad?
Yeah.
Nick, do you realize why the square is bad if the enemies run into you? I mean, they didn't even do what I said. They actually ran into you from far away, and it was still bad because there's just so many counters. Every one of May's moves counters it, right? Apart from her shift. Her ult, you're screwed, right? You have to leave the square, right? Her wall just completely counters it, right? There's just always going to be a counter to using square like that. What would have been a better square, and what would have been a better position for you? Genuinely, think about this. Imagine you were on the high ground, as I said, up here. May did this. You square up here, and you just laser people. May's ult is going off, freezing your Ryan. You're just up here, lasering people. You one-clip the May. You destroy the Ryan shield. Ryan go for a swing. You get him to half health in one burst. Do you see how beneficial it is to hold on high ground far away from your team and square solo for yourself in this? Yeah. Imagine how much better it would be here. But now you guys probably get frozen because the May ult. They shouldn't win this. This is 4v6, right? Now you get frozen, the lamp's out of range. That was high noon Mayo, and that killed both of you, right? All because, I mean, they committed ults. And what should you guys do against Mayo, by the way?
Speed out.
So speed out is one of them. Yep, 100% guarantee. Can you think of anything else?
Saving bubbles.
Yep, save bubbles for it so you can get out. Exactly. And obviously actually properly use lamp as well would be one of them, right? If you
used it like around the corner so they couldn't destroy it.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, the range. Honestly, I didn't even think that lamp was bad. It was just unfortunate that it was just out of range. Like, I think that was pretty good. But yeah, if you're on high ground anyway, it's even easier, right? Because you don't have to fly up in the air every time with jumps. You're just constantly on high ground, and you can just laser people with strafes and then like use corners like that or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then you can lamp from high ground as well. It's a lot easier.
It'd be legit if Baptiste and McCree were setting up on that high ground just there where you were looking at with the camera.
If both of them were up here?
Yeah.
I don't... There's a problem, right? The problem is, if McCree's on high ground here, he has to have cover, obviously. And if they're both strafing in and out of cover, they block each other. They block each other. Does that make sense? It's actually really difficult to have two people in the same cover going in and out. You end up blocking each other, and it's just mistimed, and one person's always going to get hit, and it's just a bit all over the place. And the problem with McCree as well is if he drops off, he can't get back up, right? It's really hard for him to get back up. That's why it's usually BAP that does it, and McCree just stays with the team. Does that make sense? Because BAP can go up high ground whenever he wants, any high ground whenever he wants, right, with one super jump. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so even got out, but went out the wrong way because of the May wall. I'm glad you guys shot the middle of the wall. It was just too slow. Okay, and if the Mayo comes out with the wall, what should you do? As you said, shoot it, use abilities to escape it. May is the biggest win condition from the enemy team. And by the way, if they grab Mayo, what do you do?
Die.
Pray.
You can counter it in some way. What's the counter?
Lamp beat.
Yep. So
beat even a
you have to use two ultimates. If to counter two ultimates, use two ultimates. So what you do is you counter Mayo, right, with lamp, and I guess you can add on a beat. The problem is that happens, right? People use grav, Mayo, right? How do you counter that? As you said, beat. So try counter it with two ults. Mayo, your own Mayo. Why does that counter it? Because if people are trying to go for swings, they get frozen, right? If they're trying to do damage, they can get frozen.
With the normal mail, would it be value just to mail their mail?
Yeah, it works because if they freeze you, look at their team. Half of their team is like close range damage. They have some long range damage, but it's not enough, and it can get countered by like a lamp solo. Does that make sense? So yeah, May ult counters May ult. If they May ult you, you counter your own May ult. So that's one ult. You've used one ult to counter Grav May ult. Then you have to use two ults. Always try and counter the ults with the same amount, right? So then what you do is you use like B to keep your whole team alive, right? Or you use your own Grav to like counter them. Or you could use like High Noon, right? So then they get frozen, you kill them in the High Noon. Does that make sense? So you've got loads of options, double ults there, and always add on a lamp as well to give you that extra edge. Now, what if they grab May ult and High Noon simultaneously?
Use 3 ults.
Right. You can use 3 ults, but at this point, there's no real ult to counter it, right? Unless you've High Nooned first, right? So at that point, it's use the correct moves, right? May, I never want to see May get frozen. Why? How can May dodge freeze?
Shift.
Right? So what she does is you shift, you save the wall, and then you wall the McCree. So a lot of the time to counter like 3 whole ult combos that are coming in, right? You have to use your ults yourself, May ult and beat, but then also actually use moves. So you'd lamp and May wall as well, right? So you'd May wall the McCree, you would lamp the people that were frozen, you would beat the people that were frozen, and you would May ult the people that are trying to hit you in the grab. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So there's always a counter, and you can win every fight. You just have to know what ults kind of counter it. Now, do you guys kind of like, I guess, see a problem? Well, not a problem. Actually, no. Can you see any other ults that would work to counter that stuff or help? Not really, right? There's no other like real defensive ult that's going to help.
I mean,
as I said, May ult can work. McCree ult can work as well if the McCree's not frozen or like rolls out, blah blah, and there's no wall, blah blah blah. Shatter's not really going to help. Right?
I sometimes use Shatter as a defensive tool because
the problem is they'll walk in with a speed boost and a Ryan shield. Shatter will never hit, right?
Yeah, I only
if they
do
walk
it
in
if it's
shielding.
obvious that the Ryan is just swinging.
Fine,
because
right?
a lot of the time Ryan's just swing into a grab.
I agree.
No,
so I would say Shatter's one of the few moves where you don't have to combo it with anything if you don't want to. You can use it whenever, as soon as you see the opportunity, right? But you can also combo it. Don't get me wrong, right? Seriously, comboing it works as well, but it's just what can you combo it with on your team? Nothing really. There's nothing really good to combo it with. Okay, so Shatter's not that. Just use it whenever you see the opportunity. So then the only moves that are left, right, is Square and Grab. And as I've said, Square can be used to counter it, but Cake has to use it for himself, right? Just on the high ground and laser people as they're running in, and that can work, right? Again, Cake, use Square whenever you want, right? I think, in my opinion, it's good to just use it whenever. Just either use it for yourself or use it with your McCree far, far back. But even then, I think using it for yourself is usually better on the high ground, okay? And the only other one is Grav. And I mean, you can grab May ult them as well. If they grab May ult you grab May ult them. And you at that point, you're at a standstill and you guys just end up... It's just going to be a mirror match. The same thing's going to happen to both teams. Right? And that's okay to do. If you stay alive doing that, it works. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what wins people games, right? The things that win people games is the other team making a mistake. So the more moves that are used, the more opportunities for mistakes there are. So maybe if they grab May ult you, they grab Blizzard you, right? You grab Blizzard them. The Blizzard might miss, the Grav might miss, or maybe then May uses a wall to counter the McCree ult. Maybe the wall was too early, or she didn't wall the McCree. She walled like you guys, and it gets destroyed. Or do you see what I mean? There's always like loads of things, and that's another thing for Sponken, by the way, right? If you get Grav May ulted, right? Obviously he's going to press shift. If the High Noon comes out like here, right? Do a vertical wall like that. Unfreeze and do a vertical wall like that. Because you're all in a circle and he has to like move to the side. Obviously if he moves to the side, he can still shoot you, so it kind of like it kind of ruins that, right? But and if he gets a speed boost, it doesn't work. But if not, horizontal wall is good enough. Unfreeze, horizontal wall, and then get frozen. It's fine, right? The suicide to get the wall off, it's worth it. Okay.
Okay.
So after all this, what is the ultimate counter to May ultimate and moves? It's just your own May, right? This is why May is picked against May. So Sponken needs to know how to counter these scenarios. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So let's watch this again. So the Square comes out and it gets walled immediately. Shows you why Square is terrible. The May ult comes out, right? You need to kind of May ult yourself, but you don't have May ult, right? So there's not much you can do. So what can you do here? Literally speed out is your only opportunity, right? Shoot the middle and speed out, right? That's it. So again, Cheesy should be on the wall. He should be on top of this wall already. The May ult comes out. He should be speed boosting while up. Again, May ult is a dome. Remember, it's a dome like that. If you're up here, you won't get frozen. Okay? No, remember that. Now it
I
comes
should
out.
have stayed
So
pushing at the
what
middle.
did Cheesy do? What did Cheesy do to try and get the speed boost? That was wrong.
Go around the wall?
Yeah, he went around the wall. No, don't do that. You can. So Lucio's AoE is like a cylinder, like that, right? So you can be up here and still AoE in people. But May's one is a dome, so you can be up here, speed boost people out, and you're not even getting frozen, right? And that would have helped. But also you need to Cheesy, or I do. You need to be shooting the middle of the wall. You have to do that as well, right? So watch it again, or watch even slower. I mean, first of all, right, the initial mistake that went wrong was that you knew they were coming down from out here and you weren't playing a corner. Remember, you need to play corners, guys, right? Chemist as well, right? You're always playing a corner, always, right? And if you know that they're hiding and they're about to come, even more reason to like play on the corner and to bait them out. Because if they come around, you can just go around the corner and they waste their amp then. If they waste their amp, you can amp into them, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is the first big mistake. And remember, corners counter May walls, right? If you were at this corner, the May wall wouldn't have worked as well, right? Seriously, corners counter May walls, right? Genuinely. So this is the first mistake, and this is the perfect May wall. This May wall is insane by the enemy May. It's blocked off an ult, and it's perfectly blocked off your whole team, almost. I mean, they can fit through here, but yeah. The second mistake is Cheesy not being on the wall here and shooting the middle and speeding you guys out, right? And then getting frozen himself. He got frozen in the mail because he walked around to speed boost you guys out, and then he gets frozen and dies, right? This is a huge mistake, okay? And obviously you'll get frozen. And then the third mistake is what?
The lamp's too far away.
Yep. So actually, do you guys remember? I'm not going to rewind. Where did your May use her wall?
In the
window.
In the window.
In the window.
Yep. So basically, at this point, right, the window was initially to stop the people from jumping out, right? Now there's no window for that McCree ult. Does that kind of make sense? So did she even need a window in the first place?
No.
Not
So
necessarily.
basically, this is and this is up to you, Chemist. If your May's plan is to wall the windows they're coming out because she spots it, you guys have to run into them with a speed boost. Don't run away. You have to run into them to kill them quicker than they kill you, right? And if that's not your plan because they have ult advantage or something like that, and Chemist, you're like, right, guys, they're going to speed into us, back to the corner, right? May can't be walling that window. May should have let them come out of the window and walled to counter the McCree ult, right? Or walled to counter them running into you or whatever. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not like a mistake, it's just not being on the same page. And the final mistake is even just splitting off the wrong, like going down here, right? If she knew that there was a hole in the wall, she could have kind of made it through, maybe bubbled to keep people unfrozen for a bit longer, etc., etc. Okay, so it was everyone making a mistake. The only person that I haven't seen made a mistake is Ed, pretty much, right? Ed's far back enough, right next to the Baptiste, so this is like good here, and doesn't get frozen. And I mean, he doesn't have ult yet, so again, Ed is all up to just aiming, right? So this is a mistake from everyone. Also, it is McCree, and McCree, obviously, there's less mistakes you make with them. Does everyone understand the mistakes they made?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person there made a visible mistake. Again, apart from Ed. Okay, that's fine.
Good job, Ed.
Yeah, good job. Well, again, as I said, there's less opportunity for Ed to make mistakes because McCree is just simpler, right? Every other character has like a big fucking like important move that's like really situational. McCree is just like run and aim, point and click adventure, right? You're playing a point and click adventure.
McCree, just stay the fuck away from me while I click on you.
Pretty much, that's it, right? Unless you guys speed in, then he runs in and stuns, blah blah blah. We are out of time, but we'll go through questions now about something that's happened or a situation. So think of like a situation where it's like, what should I do here? Do you see what I mean?
So
can anyone think of them? Yeah.
You said that it's the maze plan to wall the window, I should back up.
Yep.
What if I haven't been told that that's our maze plan?
You run into
not back up, speed in. What if I haven't been told that that's our maze plan?
Then there's not enough communication with your team. Right. The point is, okay, now that you've seen it happen, you can coordinate it. You can say, right, Spunk, I want you, if you're going to wall the window, I want you to tell me, right? Or something like that, or the other way around, or Spunk should ask you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to be on the same page because I'm telling you now, every single May wall should be coordinated with your team. Every single one. Okay, it's like the most important move that needs coordination. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you think of a solution to that?
I mean, as you said, just either call out for a Maywall or ask if he's planning to Maywall.
Yeah, but you're the one who makes the plan, so you should be the one to tell him which one to do. Does that make sense? But I know it's his Maywall, so he needs to be the one to do it quickly. The reason why I think he did it and you weren't ready was what? Did you know they were up there in that window?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, that's fine. If you all knew that, you have to come up with a quick plan there, chemist. So again, the plan doesn't have to be correct. It can be whatever, right? You make the plan and the people change their gameplay. So if you said, right, guys, we're going to run into them, then May on your team would know to wall them as they're coming out of the window. If you said, guys, let's just back up to the corner, then May would know to save her wall. Does that make sense? So you make the quick plan and everyone else should play in accordance to that plan or use their moves in accordance. Okay? Everyone else know what to do in those scenarios. For everyone else, it's pretty simple, right? If the plan is to run in, you'll say like, right, guys, when they come out the window, we're going to run into them, right? And then everyone else just press W and use your moves, right, aggressively, right? If the plan is to back up, you guys need to already be pressing S and not using your moves. Does that make sense? And letting them waste their moves. Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions about that?
No.
Anyone else think of a question?
Yeah, my only question is normally, and I did it in this map, anytime I notice that we're having trouble on like King's Row, or just in general when we're running Rush, I just go Moira for the ult and just the aggression, because I personally like it.
Yeah, Moira's more of aggressive because, well, as you know, Baptiste is defensive because he has the lamp that keeps people alive, but Moira's aggressive because she gets her ult fast and you run into them, okay? You need to know that that's what changes in your playstyle.
What situation would I go on it, though? Because that's the only thing that I'm like, for me, it's like, I prefer Bap Lamp. I think it's more consistent than like nades and sleep, or a little bit more.
You honestly think that?
And
yeah,
like,
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a May, or if they don't have a May, then I would rather Ana.
No, I get that. Like, I get that. Yeah, because you can jump over the wall and it is better. You have the high ground, like you can abuse the high ground, right? As Baptiste, because you can just go on any high ground, you just stay up there and let your team do whatever, and you're just left clicking people from the high ground with cover, of course. Okay.
Yep.
Ana is an interesting one. So you're probably right? If they have a May, I think it's actually dependent on the map, right? Is the map really, really inside, right? Is it like really inside, blah, blah, blah? You could go May because as soon as the wall breaks you could go Ana because as soon as the wall breaks, you throw a nade, right? And that will keep your thing alive. But even Bap's lamp there is better. The benefit of Ana, right, is she has more nades, right? Lamp, once it's used, game over, right? She has more nades, so you can play it offensive and defensive. I'd say Ana is like the middle ground. Ana can play offensive and defensive. And we're forgetting one thing as well. What does Ana have that can keep Orion alive if he's being walled off and you shoot the middle?
Nano.
Yeah, exactly, right? So Bap has lamp only, right, which is great, but Ana has nano and nade, so you can use both simultaneously, right? And not only do you save your Ryan, you turn the fight around. All you need to do is shoot the middle of the wall, and you can save your Ryan and turn the fight around because there's no enemy nade. Does that make sense? So genuinely, I think Ana is way, way better because the nade can be used offensively, like to basically run in and win the fight immediately. And it can be used defensively. Think about it this way: if the enemy team is running into you and you nade them, right, they're going to stop one. They're not going to want to run into you. They're going to run away. Does that make sense? Because they're naded. But the problem is, what counters that? It's Zarya. Okay, Zarya bubbles just cleanse that purple, so then you end up with no value from the nano. But the difference is the ultimate. Then the ultimate basically is used as a lamp, but it can only be used on one person. So obviously you can't at that point use a nano to save someone in a May ult, like a May blizzard, and you can't use it to save multiple people. Whereas with a lamp you can. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that's another thing as well. So lamp is actually harder in that scenario, whereas nano is a lot easier because you just choose one person, click on them, and it's usually Reinhardt. Lamp, you have to line it up perfectly. You have to be on high ground, blah blah blah. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So I think it's interesting. They both have their advantages and they both have their disadvantages. I think it's really dependent on the map and also what comp the enemy's playing, basically. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
Okay. So I think that's pretty much it. I've written the stuff down in there, and I will leave it up to you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you
Good
very
luck
much.
on the tournament.
Yeah, very
And
nice.
there's a lot of things to work there. I mean, it's a new comp, new stuff to work there, to work with. Okay.
All right.
All good. All right. I'll see you guys later. And again, message me if you've got any questions. You can just DM me if there's any questions about something that you need to remember or know or anything like that. Okay.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Okay. Cool. All right. See you later, guys.
Thanks.
Peace.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.